Hello everyone, in this video I'll be showing you a Necromancer Lore Bard build guide for Baldur's Gate 3. So this was a request and it's actually an interesting build. So we're going to be starting here as the Bard and we're going to add in the Necromancer later on. So I'll be taking you through the full breakdown of this build and all the gear options near the end. As for our cantrips, always take Vicious Mockery as a Bard. That's a really great one to have. If you're the face of the party, take Friends, and if not, Minor Illusion's really great, but Mage Hand's another option. What's nice about Minor Illusions, you can group enemies together for your team, or you can also use it to use your own spells on. So, as for our spells, we're going to select at level 1. Healing Word is a really great one to have. Heal a creature you can see. So if you have a teammate that went down within 18 meters, you can use this bonus action to bring them back up instead of running over to them. So that is the best usage of that. For our next spell, Speak with Animals is really good too if you want to go that route. Dissonant Whispers is pretty decent. Frighten a creature with a disadvantage on ability checks and attack rolls, and they cannot move. This fits the tone of the Necromancer here, so we're going to go with that. Sleep is actually a really good spell early on. You can put 3 goblins to sleep early game, so that's a really great spell just to start with. It loses its abilities later on at level 5, as people typically have more than 24 health points. And Long Strider's great to increase movement speed by 3, but I usually have someone at camp apply that to the team. So we're going to go with either Tasha's Hideous Laughter, which knocks a creature prone for 10 turns, or Thunderwave, which can push back targets and knock them off the edge of cliffs. So we're going to go with that there. As for our... it doesn't really matter the instrument. We'll go with what you think works best. Now for our ability points, this is where the build gets a little interesting because we are multi-attribute dependent. We need charisma, intelligence, constitution, and dexterity. So we're spreading ourselves pretty thin here. Ideally, we'd get having a nice rounded off dexterity is good, but we want to at least bring our intelligence up so that it's at roughly 16. We can take the point out of charisma there and put the rest. If you're the face of the part, or if you're the Tav, you can use the Hag's Hair to take that up to 20 or 18, and then boost it up to 20. But we're gonna go with something like this, I guess. You want to have your intelligence as high as possible. We can also dump some stats later on. If you got the Dexterity Gauntlets, this is a prime user of the Dexterity Gauntlets because there's not many great gauntlets for Necromancers. So we can use it on this one here. So you can pump the rest into Constitution. Something like this looks good. And yeah, we'll go with that there. Now, what makes this build so strong is all the different summons that we can bring in. And we won't be able to get them until later on in the game. But... we can do it while leveling. I'll show you a few different ways we can go about that. So at level 2 we get Song of Rest. An extra short rest is always great. Gives you a heal for the team. We'll take Long Strider for our next spell here, as we don't have awesome selection. If you have someone at camp that can apply Long Strider, then take Tasha's Hideous Laughter, and we'll just level up there. At level 3 we get to choose the Lore Bard here. So what's nice about the Lore Bard is we get the Cutting Word, so use your wit to distract a creature and sap its confidence. What this does is basically when you can use a reaction to give a 1d6 penalty to attack rolls on a target. Unfortunately, this doesn't actually get buffed up. It's supposed to go from 1d6 to 1d8 to 1d10, but unfortunately at max level this only caps out at 1d6. I think it's a bug, but hopefully that'll get fixed later on. Now for our next spell, I think that Hold Person goes above and beyond what we want for this build. The reason that Hold Person is so great is when we have our Undead, we can use Hold Person to lock them in place, and then our Undead can come in and get free critical hits off on them, so that's really nice. And another option is Heat Metal. Be consistent fire damage early on. And then we also get to choose extra proficiencies. That's the best part about the Lore Bard, is you get all that extra proficiencies. Now, some of the best in combat would be Athletics and Acrobatics. This keeps you from falling on ice. This keeps you from being shoved. Sleight of Hand is okay, and Stealth's okay if you're going for more of a stealthy build, but this is not really what this is all about. I would recommend taking Persuasion, which is going to help out with dialogue options. Persuasion, Performance, Intimidation, and Deception are all really great options, so you can go with any one of those two, and then we can put our skill proficiencies into something like Athletics, Acrobatics, and then take maybe Insight's not bad. I think Insight's a pretty solid one to go with. I have a tier list of all the skills here, so if you want to have help with picking that out, you can check out my channel for that. But we're going to go with that for our level 3. Big move here is getting Hold Person. This is one of the best spells in the entire game. It can be upcast and hold more people in place. At level 4, we get an extra cantrip, so take Mage Hand, and if you're the face of the party, take Friends. Now, for our second cantrip, a lot of people like Cloud of Daggers, but 44 slashing damage is just okay. Slashing damage is typically the worst damage type in the whole game, so it doesn't add a lot to this build. Heat Metal can be a really good option too, and Detect Thoughts is not bad as a concentration until long rest. This can help in dialogue options. But Invisibility is probably the best here of the spells that we get, or Silence. Knock's even not bad to be able to unlock locks. But you can give Invisibility to a party member and have them go around and surprise the targets. So we can go with something like that, or Long Strider. Now, level 4, we get our first feat, and taking Warcaster's not a bad idea if we want to hold concentration and get Shock and Grasp as a reaction. There's a few different ones that work quite nice here, and I think that it's honestly best to go with the ability improvement to take our Charisma up, or our Intelligence up higher, or Alert for the +5 to Initiative. I'm going to go with this here. You can also, since we left our Charisma at 17, you can go with the Actor perk, which will give you adding proficiency bonus to Deception and Performance, which can be actually really nice. Since we're kind of going with that Jack of all trades, the Lore Bard gets a lot of proficiencies, so adding a proficiency bonus is great. But even the ability improvement to take your Charisma up if you left it at 16, we're going to go with this here just to give those extra skill proficiencies, which is always a decent one. We also get the Font of Inspiration, so you can regain all your Bardic Inspiration after a long or short rest. That's huge because we can continue to spam our Bardic Inspiration, and we also get it increased to +1d8. As for the spells, we get level 3 spells, and this is where the build gets kind of strong. I'm a big fan of Glyph of Warding. I think that this is awesome. It works great as we are going to be being a Necromancer, and we can put this down and do a sleep glyph, and it won't affect our undead, which is huge. This is also a basically free damage, so we'll take that. Hypnotic Pattern can be good too. 2-turn concentration. And Fear. Fear can makes targets drop their weapons, which you can just pick up and then they become somewhat useless. And it hits in a large area like Cone of Cold. So it's a really great spell overall. And I just think that Glyph of Warding is the best choice here. So we'll go with that. Also, we could, as Sleep starts to get a lot weaker here, we can take Sleep off and then take Fear or Hypnotic Pattern. So we'll take Fear with that one. Typically, I don't go that route often, but it's nice when it can pop up. And at level 6, we get Counter Charm. You and any allies have advantage on saving throws against being charmed or frightened. So awesome. For our next leveled spell, Hypnotic Pattern's really good. Plant Growth will quarter movement speed, which can be great. Speak of the Dead, you can get an amulet that has it, so I wouldn't recommend going with that. But Hypnotic Pattern, not a bad crowd control. Hypnotize creatures so they cannot attack, they cannot move or act. So that's really good for just locking down the battlefield. Now, we get level... this is where the build gets really nice. We get the Magical Secrets, which gives us some free spells. And I would recommend taking the ones that the Wizard cannot learn, because as we add in the Wizard, we can learn them from scrolls. So a definite one that we want to be taking, no matter what, is Spirit Guardians, because there's no ability to get that from a scroll. And this works perfectly with our build, so adding necrotic damage is huge. And you can just run around with this, and yeah, it's a pretty powerful spell to have on our build here, so we're going to go with that. Spiritual Weapon is also a really nice one that we can't get from a scroll. Bonus action can bring up that, because we can get things like Counterspell. Call Lightning is another choice. I love Call Lightning. 3d10 lightning damage can be doubled in Create Water, so I really like that. Okay, if you're doing this from the base level, I would take Animate Dead, because this is going to make it an actual Necromancer at this point. Animate Dead we will get from the Necromancer at level 6, so it does take a bit of time to be able to add this into our build. So you can take this now, and then once you get to a higher level, we can respec. I would also recommend taking Hunger of Hadar, because you can't get this from a scroll as well, whereas all these other spells you typically can get from scrolls. So Spiritual Weapon, Spirit Guardians, or Hunger of Hadar would be probably my top picks. And again, you can take the Animate Dead early on. Also, Hellish Rebuke can be pretty decent, or Hex if you want to add that extra damage on top of your attacks. But I would personally probably go with Hunger of Hadar and Spirit Guardians. So this fits the theme, necrotic damage, and then we get the Hunger of Hadar, which is... it's a Warlock spell, but it feels like it's a Necromancer style one. So now we're going to add in the Wizard. So This is where the build gets really strong, because we can start to add in a whole lot of utility to this. So as for our cantrips, I think that Shocking Grasp and Ray of Frost are really great, so adding that extra damage when water is set up is huge. And Bone Chill is a Necromancy cantrip, gotta take that. Preventing the target from healing is massive in terms of what you can set up, so the Necromancer can stop the target from being healed, which if you're, you know, going against some bosses in the game, this can literally shut them down, so that's a great one to take. Now, for our level 1 spells, there is some overlap, but we want to make sure that we're always taking Shield, which gives us a +5 to armor class's reaction. And we always want to be taking Magic Missile. Shoot 3 magical darts, 2 to 5 force damage, and they always hit our target. Sometimes the only thing you can hit with is Magic Missile, so we want that. Find Familiar, huge. Grease is pretty decent, but at the point in the game that you get it, it's not super effective. Our Mage Armor can be good too, to have just for overall keeping your survivability high. So we're going to go with something like this for our spells at level 1. And then for prepared spells, probably something like this. Chromatic Orb is actually really good too, but we'll add that in at next level. So at level 2, we get to choose our subclass. And we're obviously going with the Necromancer. Now, when you kill a creature with a spell, you regain hit points equal to twice the spell level used, thrice if it's a Necromancer spell. Huge. So we can add in a nice heal on our Necromancer attacks. That's great. It actually makes this build quite powerful. Now we'll take probably Grease, Long Strider since I didn't take it earlier, and for our prepared spells, Chromatic Orb. Perfect. Now, once we get to level 6, this is where the build kind of comes together. And the nice thing is we're combining 2 full spellcasters, so you can use the Wizard to increase your spells and take some level 6 spells from scrolls. So that's really the best way to go about doing that. I think taking Flaming Sphere is an awesome spell because Flaming Sphere is another ally that we can have on our team. Darkness is a really good spell too. I think that Darkness is a really, really useful one. But Misty Step is kind of I would say the best here. Misty Step is a bonus action, be able to move around the battlefield really easily. Scorching Ray is another consideration too, but we'll go something like that for our spells. And at level 4, we get ourselves a feat, which is nice because then we can increase our intelligence. I'd probably take Firebolt here, 3 to 30 fire damage, not bad. And then for our next spells, Darkness is great, Cloud of Daggers, because someone's going to be in the comments saying you need to take Cloud of Daggers. And then we'll go with that for our spells. And for our feat, take our intelligence up to 18 as well, because we're going to be using that for a lot of our spell casting, so may as well have it high. Alternatively, you could take your intelligence up to 20 if you wanted to. That's also a very valid choice. Now, for our level 3 spells, this is where we start to get some really cool things. And it may be tempting to get Animate Dead here, but we get it at level 6 Necromancer Wizard, so we're going to take Lightning Bolt. Haste is an incredibly useful spell, but I would recommend having a Sorcerer do this because this requires concentration, and a Sorcerer can twin it to 2 people, which makes it so much better. I also think Counterspell is a great spell. We're going to go with that there. And then we'll take Counterspell and Lightning Bolt for our spells. Lightning Bolt's nice because water will double its damage, allowing you to do up to 96 damage. Now here's where the build comes full together. We get ourselves the Undead Thralls, so we get 2 Animate Dead whenever we summon a corpse. And then we also get Better Summons, so additional health points equal to our Wizard level, and have our Proficiency bonus added to their damage. So +4 to damage and +6 health. And we get Animate Dead. We'll take Fireball here, and I think Vampiric Touch, we can always learn any of these spells from scrolls. So Vampiric Touch gives you the ability to take health points from the target. So 3 to 18 damage, and you'll regain half as many as hit points. And if you take it to a target with this, you would get level 3, so 9 health back as well, which is kind of nice. So we're going to go with that for our spells. We'll put on Vampiric Touch because this is the Necromancer spell, but there we go there. And yeah, so the nice thing about this is we can actually learn a bunch from scrolls. So if we want some different spells, we can literally just go there and learn spell. Let's see, try to find some more ones that are like higher level so that I can just show that off. Otto's Irresistible Dance, great spell. Cone of Cold, really great spell. So when you learn them from scrolls, Circle of Death, I think that this is probably the most essential. I was going to get to mentioning this, but we can go and prepare our spells here. So we can take off some of the earlier ones that we have here. and put on the higher level spells. Circle of Dead is really, really useful here, and I'm going to go into what makes this build so powerful. So you might notice that I have a Necromancer staff here, the Staff of Cherished Necromancy. So this gives creatures disadvantage on saving throws against Necromancer spells, so we have a higher chance of hitting them. When the wielder kills a creature with a spell, they greedily absorb its life essence until next rest. What does this mean, you may ask? So, if we kill a target with our Circle of Death, which is a huge 8d6 necrotic damage, and it hits in an area around it, so when we kill with this, we would get it's a level 6 spell, so we would get 18 health from our Necromancer buff, but this gives us the ability to cast it again, and again, and again. So, with this, we can cast Circle of Dead, take out a target, we get its life essence from this staff, and then we can cast it again. So we can continually heal 18 every single turn with this. That's pretty broken if you ask me. So as for our summons, we can pop in that there. We can call in our Find Familiar. I don't have any undead bodies to be able to summon in the rest of them here, but we have all the bonuses of the Bard. So we have the 4 Bardic Inspiration there that we can get back on short rest. Now, our armor class is only 17 right now. I would recommend using the Dexterity Gauntlets for this build, because that'll take it up to at least 21. Now, while this armor class isn't fantastically high, we do have a ton of Undead that'll take hits for us. So that'll help a lot with survivability. I'm also using the Viconia's Walking Fortress for the +3 armor class on the shield and advantage on saving throws against spells, and spell attack rolls have disadvantage on us. I also like the Birthright Hat, because this will give the Charisma up to 20, which is nice for our spell rolls. But the Circle of Bones is typically the best for Necromancers. Allied undead within 6 meters are resistant to bludgeoning, slashing, and piercing damage. So we get a free, we'll freely avoid taking, they'll take half damage. And we also get a free cast of Animate Dead with that. I also really like taking the Crypt Lord Ring, which gives us Create Undead. It's a level 6 Necromancer spell, which makes a mummy for us, which is great. And then for our gear, I'm using the Wave Mother's robe, but that's not like the top tier ideal piece of armor to wear. We can go with really whatever you got. And then on top of that, we can also use the Mage Armor to give ourselves a little bit higher of an armor class. So that's nice. I would recommend always having your Mage Armor set up on your character there. Cloak of Protection, Evasive Shoes, and Ring of Protection for the +1 armor class. Amulet of Greater Health to take our health up to 129. And we'll see here if I can maybe summon an Undead for us. I don't think there might be bodies outside where I'm at in Baldur's Gate. But typically you're going to want to create Undead whenever you get the chance to. So if there's any dead bodies nearby, use that as an opportunity to use your spell and create dead. So yeah, I don't think there's any here, unfortunately, for us to be able to. Oh yeah, and the mother brain there is not liking us doing this. But yeah, always summon in your Undead whenever you possibly can, because the more that you have, the better off your chances of survival, because you want to have a big army of Undead alongside you, because that can help you with taking out any enemies and taking hits for your team. So that is the Lore Bard Necromancer build guide for Baldur's Gate 3. Let me know in the comments if you found this video useful, and if you have any requests for future build guides in this game. I enjoy making these request videos, so thank you so much for watching. Hit that subscribe button below if you found this video useful, and I'll see you all in the next video.